it'll be sad to tell you, but like the 5 demo EPs, like they won't be played live or anything ever again.
You're joking.
Yeah, sorry to.
That is actual fucking heartbreak, you know.
Welcome back, team. Welcome back to the Scratch Record podcast. We are joined today by another unbelievable guest. They've been around for the last 3 years, recently been signed to Golden Robot Records with a major single that's got over 100,000 screams. Well done, Elliot. Good.
100,000 screams. What does that even mean?
100,000 screams. Hang on. Let me finish. They've been supporting a major... Oh, my God.
Do you want to start again? Oh, yeah, you're happy.
Yeah, we'll just keep it in. I'm joined today by Nathan from Callow Youth. Hello, mate.
Hello. Hiya.
How are you doing, bud? All right?
Yeah, not bad. It's a great start.
Yeah, horrendous start. It normally goes much nicer than that, but...
I'm not going to lie, it's quite nice to bring him down a peg because he's been practicing these new intros and they've been quite good. And a lot of guests have been like, it's good that. So I'm glad you fucked one. That's back down to reality.
Yeah, it makes us seem real now, doesn't it?
We are human, everyone.
Yeah, we are. I'm not always perfect. I know it might seem like it. But anyway, how have you been then, Nathan? All right?
Yeah, not mad, mate. Not mad.
Yeah,
we're all at it. We're all at it.
It's contagious.
No, I've not been bad, mate. Just been plodding along now.
Yeah. It's one of them ones at the moment, isn't it? It's one of them ones.
Yeah, for sure. It's same in it for everyone at the moment, but we'll get right into it, really. And I think we like to jump straight in and tackle the sort of more stereotypically boring stuff that you might have spoken about a lot before. But for any of our listeners that haven't heard it, we like to get into it. So a little bit about Callow Youth, how you got started, what sort of music it is, all that sort of stuff.
It gets tougher and tougher, this question, every time. Me and the singer Alfie met at football at City, and appropriate t-shirt. And we kind of just I'd started like kind of jamming with the drummer Connor, but he didn't really have a drum kit. He had like just like a top floor tom or something just in his attic, and we were just there. Yeah.
Nice.
I was just, none of us could really play anything, so I knew Alfie played guitar a little bit, and I said like, let's just like jam, let's just get together. And he brought Tom, who was his like best mate, and I just brought Connor, and as we like grew, we just learned how to play our instruments together, and now it's turned into this. We've got a sound that's like out now is kind of I suppose like a generic indie rock kind of sound. But recently we've been exploring new avenues, which is like overrated and stuff like that. Like we've been into a lot of like 60s rock and roll and stuff like that. Different type of bands. So yeah, we've got a few songs coming out that'll sound on similar lines of like Did It Really Matter and stuff like that. All right.
That's all right.
On Did It Really Matter and stuff like that. But yeah, then we've got, but then after that it'll be like a change of direction, and we're going more into like the way of overrated and songs.
Sick.
Oh, nice. So you're taking a completely different like approach to how your influences are affecting your music. Are you kind of like getting all this more 60s influence in to be able to write what you're making?
Yeah, we've started to like I don't know. I think the songwriting's just become a lot more mature. We decided where we kind of wanted to go with it, and started writing a lot of our songs in like drop tuning. So,
okay, cool.
Give it kind of it's always started with like a rocky kind of punky riff, and yeah, we just decided to go down that kind of route instead of what we was on before. Working for us people to see, I suppose.
Yeah, well, it's just whatever makes you happy as well. And at the end of the day, it's just as long as you're enjoying making the music, then
yeah,
you kind of. So I want to try and get into where you lot are at now before we kind of see this middle ground of how you've got to. So you're at the moment signed on to Golden Robot Records.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how did that come about then for you lot?
We just got an email of Mark, the owner, saying that he'd like to have like a Zoom call about maybe possibly working together and stuff. So we'd seen a few bands on it. Like we just went into it like, open minds and stuff, just see what he had to say, because we didn't really know much about Golden Robot at the time. We just knew that a couple of bands near us had signed to him, and he just basically said everything that you'd want to hear, like from a label and kind. So I sorted some paperwork out, and after like a month of like back and forth, like agreeing terms on both sides, it signed to him.
Oh, that's cool.
I'm quite interested in this because like we speak to a lot of unsigned bands, and I think it's a bit of like a holy grail to get signed, but then you never quite know what it's going to be like. So have you found that it sort of changed your attitude and your processes as a band, or you just sort of, have they allowed you to just crack on as you are?
No, it's allowed. We can still crack on as we are in the band, but when we was like not signed, it was like the stuff like promoting singles, even as far as artwork, like we always did our own artwork, and the artwork is all ours. But like when we signed, we got offered like somebody will do our artwork. Like these people who work in the Golden Robot family who do like different sects of the stuff. People who like push it in different areas of the world, like you sing and stuff and promote it.
Oh, that's sick.
So, and we just send the track to them and the artwork, and then they handle all the sides, like uploading it to Spotify.
That's so nice.
Play stuff like that. The nitty gritty that we that we used to have to do and stuff. Yeah, so
sound. So it's been a good experience then, really. It hasn't.
It's not bad. Yeah, I mean, I don't think we've managed to live up to full potential both sides, because there's not really much we can do. Is there? It's like, it's all right saying all these things like we're going to do this, we're going to do that, but then it's like, when are we going to get in the studio? Like, because they might be all short, or when are we actually going to play a gig? Like, because we never know what's happening right now. So there's a lot more to offer, like between us both, but that'll just come when all this is over.
Yeah, when the world kind of re goes into some normality, isn't it?
When we get a little bit back to normal, I suppose.
Yeah. What have you lot got planned for when it does eventually get to that position? Have you got anything in the works, or are you just kind of playing it by ear?
So we're at one point going to bring a 4-track EP out.
Nice.
Sick. Like it.
That'll be, we'll bring out another single, and then another 2 will join Overrated and our next single to make a 4-track EP. And then when we have 2 gigs planned currently. We had like a tour route planned for us. We was gonna go on like our first like headline tour next year. Well, it was meant to be like the start of this year, maybe. I can't remember when the first date was. It's just like push back.
Yeah, I know.
Fucking hell, tell us about it.
Going on for ages. So we started, and we had the Slow Readers gig.
Nice.
Sick.
Splitting them in Blackburn. That's on the 1st of April, but as things carry on to look like this, And and then we got the No Art Ashes, their final gig support in Manchester.
Sick.
And that's on the 7th of March, but we're thinking now, like, will it go ahead? Like,
yeah, I think we have tickets to that somewhere in the diary. I genuinely think we're there.
Mate, we have tickets to fucking like, we've completely forgotten half of what we've got to do.
And they've all been rearranged all over the shop, haven't they?
Yeah.
But that's it. Go on.
But I was just saying, every single one of them is now. Like, you can't book a gig and then think like, yeah, that's going to go ahead, because you may as well just think like, at least I've got the ticket for when it'll get rearranged.
Yeah. Literally.
No point thinking that it might happen next week, or it might happen, in a couple months' time.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think it's interesting though that you've sort of got so much coming up, because I suppose you had a bit of a quiet year this year, and there was quite a lot of excitement after like Red Leather, and then there was obviously quite a long wait for Over Your Head. So was that like a bit of was that lockdown that affected that, or were you looking at having a bit of a break anyway?
No, we parted company from our own management.
Right.
And obviously things happen and things have got to be sorted out, because it was obviously a two-way thing. So that was just basically that just ticking over to be able to like go our separate ways. Then obviously it was get in the studio and actually record something.
Yeah.
And then obviously, like, you know, it's getting the funds for that. And first, like, say Red Leather come out in September, we was going in the studio in like we first had we first had like a studio date booked for like start of January. For some reason we didn't do it then because it was for our old management and it started to change. Obviously we had to put them book our new studio dates on our own terms, like just from us.
Yeah.
But then obviously COVID hit, and then it was like everything shut in it for like a straight 4 months. But now we've had chance to go in, obviously socially distanced and stuff when we was allowed and things. We've had chance to go in and we've recorded a few songs, and that wait was just like basically just life screwing over as a band and stuff. Like it wasn't planned. Like we had plans ourselves, but you know, it was what it was.
Yeah,
it happens, don't it? Absolutely. Have you found that the quarantine, because everyone's dealt with it a little bit differently, have you found it's been quite beneficial to you lot as a group to be able to like mill over these changes in labels, like the management changes and stuff, and then get into like a creative headspace? Or have you found it's just been strictly restricted?
For myself, but probably all of us, like, we all write music, so every single one of us in the band, so like we can all pretty much play each other's instruments, apart from none of us can play drums apart from Connor. It sort of let us be a bit creative. Like we started just writing our own music to ourselves, and then as soon as we actually finally got back in the rehearsal room, everybody was like, well, I've got like these 10 songs and I've got these 10 songs. It was just kind of like, you know, I think we ended up with like 4 we was happy with at the end of it, and we just chucked away about 90% of like what we were. But that came with then, because it was such a long period of time, we actually just got rid of a lot of old songs that we didn't like anymore, that we kind of matured out of. Like it'd be sad to tell you, but like the 5 demo EPs, like they won't be played live or anything ever again.
You're joking.
Yeah, sorry to.
That is actual fucking heartbreak, you know. I love those songs.
We did. They were the first songs I ever wrote. We couldn't even play our instruments properly, and that was. It's all just part of moving on. They'll still always be there for it to listen to, but as it goes, you know, maybe in the future, if it's like, you know, we do a special, like, you know, small gig, we might throw a few in for people who've been there, like, you know, themselves from the start and stuff.
Yeah.
You never know. They're just not really. You can tell like the quality of music is just like, you know, every time we kind of bring a song out, it's just getting better. But I suppose that's the beauty of being a new band and being a band that people haven't heard of, because, you know, you can go onto Spotify, listen to Red Leather, and then go back and listen to Rough and think like, is that the same band? Or like, or then listen to Over Your Head, then listen to everything else, and you're just like, this just isn't the same band.
It's that natural progression, isn't it, of developing from like this beginning sound and trying to find yourself as artists to now actually something that's a little bit more like distinct, isn't it?
Yeah, because we was 17 when we started the band. Like, you know, we were still in. We was like maturing within ourselves and our music taste too. Like that, I never dreamed like at 17 I would have dreamed like I'll be listening to the music that I am doing like nowadays. But once you listen to new people, you want to write different tunes and stuff. And, you know, you're influenced off loads of different things, and like even through the band, like Connor's like favorite genre is like rap and hip hop, and then loves Slipknot.
Nice.
Even like indie music, like it's just all of us. Like we have just something different for all of us. And at the start, it was just like, you know, what was just playing. Like we're into music, but like growing up in Manchester, it was all like, you know, we love the Smiths and we love Joy Division. Don't get us wrong, like we still doing that, but it was that was just what was fed to us.
Yeah.
Really, you know, broadened our horizons, I suppose. Yeah,
definitely.
And then as soon as we did find out, like, you know, there was other music than the Manchester scene, you know, we started to grow as artists as well.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that we've probably taken from interviewing a lot more bands is that there's a common theme that the best music comes from when all the different members of the bands have very different tastes and then have different tastes within themselves as well. Because, as you say, you can take influence from Manchester and Britpop and that, but you become a cover band quite quick, and it's sort of clear to see that you can take on a lot of different things. But I think that shows from the Vibe demos to like Over Your Head. Like I was listening to it again earlier, and it is like very different. I feel like it's a little bit sort of heavier, maybe a little bit more towards that side of things. So that maybe like more Slipknot references than anything else. But do you find that quite hard to sort of take everyone's influences into account, or is it quite like?
No, to be honest, it works perfectly in writing music. I always just want to like to refer to a song, but then I have to like remember what song is actually out on Spotify because not everybody's heard like our tune. So we've took a lot, definitely like a heavier route. I think that when we brought out them 3 Vibe demos and like wrote like a few of the songs that were already on there, we just felt like, we just wanted to get away from like, becoming a cover band or, just sounding like other people. And, I think I don't know. I think we're just striving to be very original, which is tough, obviously, because, most things have been done. But I think what could make us original, like a few other bands is like you're saying, it's just like having so many different influences in the band that they all kind of merge together and then become your own sound. I think that's how people have done it in the past, I suppose.
Yeah. What sort of influences do you bring to the table then in the songwriting aspect? Like what's there for you?
I don't know. I love, I'd probably say the Beatles are my favourite band ever. But I've been listening to a band called Molchat de Mar recently.
Okay, cool.
Have you heard of those?
Oh, I haven't, to be fair.
The Belarusian, and they do like pop punk, and it's kind of like, imagine like a New Order kind of, like drum simulator, like kind of Blue Monday kind of vibe. Then it's got like just like riffed melodies with a bass. It's crazy, and it's all in my. Nice. I think it's all in like it's either in something's just come up on the screen. Sorry, it's either in like Belarusian or Russian. I'm not sure what language it's in, and it's all just crazy. Like the album that they got is really good.
Oh, that's class.
I only found out that because one of the songs went viral on TikTok. And like people were dancing to it, and I was like, "That's crazy!
That's sick!" Yeah.
And I was listening to it, and it turns out it's just these like 2 Belarusian guys who just make music, and I just thought it's crazy.
Fucking lads, sick.
But I don't know. I'm quite around the thing. Yeah. I think most of my bass lines are like, I don't know, they're inspired by a lot of different people. A lot of different people.
I want to go back to you saying Beatles is probably your favorite band.
Yeah.
Right. We've had a couple of discussions on the podcast where Joe we did it I think mainly we had a big conversation about it on our Christmas one, and then also we did a whole episode on it where we're saying that would Beatles have made it today? And like, are they like overrated because they might not have? But like what I want to hear your opinion on it, because it's something that we always try and refer back to the like topics we spoke about before. But Joe has made it very fucking clear that he thinks they're one of the most overrated bands ever.
See, you've got to think of before the Beatles before you think of the Beatles. Because like at the time, like remember I read like that there was, when they were breaking through in the Cavern Club, that rock and roll music wasn't even allowed in the Cavern Club.
Fuck.
And like and they had to then, like if you listen anything before the Beatles, these people like, Jerry and the Pacemakers that they probably like, got a few stuff off, but there was nobody that ever like kind of, like he loved Chuck Berry, didn't he, John Lennon and stuff like that.
Yeah.
He kind of took that rock and roll and like that it became a norm, which is quite hard because as big as Chuck Berry is, like it was always like seeing as an American thing, it was never big in England. It was never going to be.
Yeah.
And still, you think today, like, maybe they wouldn't have made it today, but everybody sounds like they do now because of the Beatles. So that's why they wouldn't have made it.
Yeah.
I think that's always been my point, is not that they're not a great band and a very influential band, but that I came into the Beatles quite late and sort of went back and listened to their stuff, and I just didn't fall in love with them. I wasn't as impressed as everyone seems to be. And I think maybe that's, for me, like without context, without thinking about how influential they were and what they started, when I was just listening to them, I was like, yeah, it's good, and I understand how important they were.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, it just doesn't. It's not as good, and that's why we sort of wrapped around that point of if they release those early songs now compared to the standard of some up and coming music, would they stand out as much? And obviously, I think the answer is no to that, which is sort of my main point, as well as like I understand their influence, and obviously you can never remove context, so it makes a lot of sense. But for me, like because I don't really hold it as much, I just don't really. I think they're a bit overrated. But
I think it would have been interesting to see like what happened, like as they were moving through like Sergeant Pepper and stuff, like doing revolutionary stuff in the studio, like that people had never done before. I mean, credit George Martin as well with them. But they were doing stuff that like people had never ever done in like the world.
Crazy.
Like like double tracks and stuff like, and like taped backwards and shit. Like what people have never like once went. It'd be pretty cool if that happened.
Yeah.
Now, they kind of revolutionized recording, where now it seems like the norm.
Yeah,
it's just the music that's like became that. It's like if you think about the Beatles, like the sound just kept changing like every album. If you think of a modern day band that do that, the only people I can think of is maybe Arctic Monkeys, and they've had a longer time to progress through the albums. What Beatles were maybe 9-10 years before this broke. And imagine like if they just kept on making those different albums, if they were all still alive and all thinking where it would have went then, because mature as a band like you always do.
They
and I think go on now.
Well, they did really develop their proper artists, and that's what I think could make them really. I'd be really fascinated to see, especially Lennon and early Paul McCartney, to be around at the ages they were now. Because I don't think if they were then going to release something now, I don't think it'd sound like the Beatles. I think the reason that the Beatles sounded like the Beatles because it was so fucking different to everything else. I think they'd find something else. I don't know whether they'd be in like, I don't know, spearheads in the EDM scene or where, do you know what I mean? Or whether they'd be like creating a completely new genre just in a base. Yeah, just ravers. John Lennon with the shades in the air, like it would be still doing the same amount of drugs. Like I do just think though, like I think they'd just find a different avenue and just be like, right, I'm going to paint this a completely different fucking color and change it up, mix it up, make it the best thing you've ever heard. They're so fascinating.
It's just as well, just how many like quality songs they actually made. There's a lot like, you can listen to a few of them and like that you think like this is actually the same artist as like what I've been listening to like for, like I was saying before, like things change, but they just, you only have to listen to how many bands are inspired by the Beatles to know that like what the Beatles meant to people.
Yeah.
Not everybody's going to have the same taste, or that'd just be boring, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Like we wouldn't do this if we all had the same taste.
Yeah. But I think it's interesting that you take so much from them. And I think, even like you said, with Callow Youth, you're striving to be original and not just be the same. And I guess it's that similar vein of trying to come up with something that's now not been done is really hard. But it's, someone's got to do it, and you're on the right track, I think, especially with the new one. I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, I think it will upset a few people that a lot of old songs may, like, we might not sound like them anymore. But we're just always like wanting to try new things. Like you remember like good indie bands, like that's fine. But like with the music we've actually got now that people like haven't heard, we know that it's like we could be like trying to strive to being like the best band instead of just another good one.
Yeah. I like that. I think you're
becoming good artists.
Not like saying like I'm saying right now we're going to be as big as the Beatles were to everyone, and this is how we're doing it. But it's more interesting. It's more interesting like how they did it. Like us trying new things as well. Like many bands just like they'll go into the studio and they'll record and put the track down. But we just kind of like to sit there and just try new things that like, maybe they have been done in other songs, but we like to bring like a random bit of feedback technique that Slipknot used. But then I really like that chord change in that Tom Odell tune. You know what I mean? It just, and if you end up putting them all together, trying new things and stuff, it ends up being more rewarding than it is just like going in there. This is our song that we played, and this is it done.
And it's well hard, like to to kind of strive to be so different, because in a world of a massively oversaturated market.
Yeah.
There's a question I asked the new consistent a couple of weeks ago, and I was asking him, because his music's so completely different to everything else that we've heard, is there anything else outside of music that's influencing the way that you're writing or what you're doing when you're performing the tracks?
We've always just there's like a way it'll normally run, like when songs are wrote. It's like one of us will come into the studio with an idea. It'll be jammed out within, like, sometimes it takes like 2 minutes and we've got a full song. We know exactly how it's going to go.
Yeah.
Or it'll take, like, we'll keep coming back a few sessions and new bits will be added to it. But the lyrics have always been like, we play our part in the lyrics slightly, like, we'll maybe say, maybe it'll be better if you said this, Alfie, or
yeah,
if you did this. But it's always just kind of been in his head what the lyrics are. Like, I think he's just started writing, like, find a lot of bands love to write about, women and like girls. I think, it's always like about you and stuff like, and a lot of our songs will maybe be about women as well, but like, well, not like women, not objectifying.
Just like to clarify that we're not objectifying women here.
But, they like to talk about love and stuff, and the love of a woman was like the traditional love song and the ballad. Kind of way around it, and it's always been that. But recently, like, if you read up on like what Overrated was wrote about, that was just about, like, basically like the verb is a slave to money then you die kind of thing, but obviously in a different take. And it's just kind of that, just like life and stuff, and I think it bodes well between the two.
Yeah, I really like that. I do really like that. I think although you're moving away from the Vibe demos, and I really appreciate that, and I cannot wait to see where it goes, I do want to speak about them a little bit. Okay. And about what that was like for you going in and recording all those songs in one take, because it's quite an impressive feat. We were saying to just go in. You'd been a band like a few months at the ages of like 17, 18, and record those songs. And although they're not of your current standard, they're of a really high standard. So what is that the point, those Vibe demos, where you thought, yeah, like we're sick?
Well, because they were the first thing we ever made, it was like just kind of going first for us, because we're like, I don't even think we're musicians now, but like we were just like shit, like we did a song, like we have music that we played with our own hands and sang with our own mouths, like that is ours, like that we've done that, and that was first like the most overwhelming thing. Then after we wrote a lot more songs, we just started going, yeah, they're poor, aren't they? Like, like it's just not as good as these, or like, just that kind of vibe. But yeah, when we went into Vibe, it was it was mental. Like, now I turn up to the studio and I'll have like, some joggers on and that, and a hoodie, just like this, just ready to like, kind of go for it. Like, but then I was like, I remember I had like some turtleneck on, a nice like pretty green military jacket, there's a boots, and I was like, I have to look like a god here. I have to walk. He has to know I'm a musician by what I'm wearing when I walk into this. He needs to know that I am one cool guy. Able to record these songs, and I think we did 5 in a day, which is mad, because now we'll do like 2 songs in 3 days, or maybe 3 days push. To get 5 songs in one day,
it's mad.
That's how we ended up calling them demos, because they were like the demos, and we just kind of wanted to get them out there first, like test the waters and just see like what people thought of us. We didn't know where we was going to go at that point. They were the only 3 we got. We did 2 gigs before we wrote them songs, and we played 2 songs that are like will never be ever played live again, and they were the worst things I've ever heard in my life.
Oh, really?
And and in that set it was them 2 songs. We played at a place called the Frigate Pub. It was in Whitefield. And we played that was the one, Tara Leisure in Shaw in Oldham. And I think we started the set off with Hate to Say I Told You So by the Hives.
Nice.
And we didn't have tuners, so all our guitars was out of tune. We didn't even know you had to tune guitars. Like,
oh, that's hilarious.
Like, we just like kind of thingy. Like, I remember it was all turning up and it was like, but you have to tune these things. Like, these go out of tune. Like, I thought you just rocked up and just played a few chords and like, just check us there, like, we've made it.
Yeah.
Like, I remember doing it and it was dreadfully out of tune. And by the second gig, the one at Tara Leisure, we got tuners. And, you know, in between every song we were tuning it because we didn't know how often it needed tuning. We didn't know whether it was out of tune or not. Like in the middle of every song we was pressing the pedal like, oh,
Yeah.
you know, looking like you're doing something proper complex. Tell you what. And yeah, and we finished on New York City Cops by the Strokes. Like
Sick.
On an outro, and it's a bit in the middle where it's like starts going, it's like a high chord. It was so painfully out of tune. My dad recorded them both and has it on his computer, and every now and again, like if we're having like, you know, a spat or something, or like just getting at each other, he'll just find it and he'll just play it, and I'll be like, please turn it off. And he's just like, oh, this bass line sounds good, mate, definitely in tune. I'm like, oh, please stop it. No, I just think everything's like so new with us. I think it's only like now where we kind of think we can play our instruments to a good standard, like, but it's been more interesting because like every week, like, you know, when we decided with like other people's songs and stuff, and we was playing them, it's kind of like, oh, like this is what you can actually do with music. And then we got a feel of like, you know, playing live, and it was like wow, this is what we want. This is what like we kind of want to do. Want to live more nights like these, like, you know.
Yeah.
So we're always learning. Everybody is.
Because then, even though like you say that was your first attempt, but the reaction was pretty unreal, wasn't it? Because then it was a bit of a growth, and then since then you've like sold out Deaf Institute, done, you know, over 100,000 streams. You've got a record label, like off the back of those demos that you wrote when you couldn't even tune your guitars. Like that's a pretty wild thing.
I know. I think it's just like we had. When we first brought them out, like we were proud that we did that, but then like from an artist mindset, like you get proud more of the new things you made, because in that mindset, that is what is the best for you.
Yeah,
I mean, like we know now that they're like that people like them, but in our heads we're like, how because we've done so much like other stuff, or like, you know, because we actually know how to play our instruments now. We're like, oh, like, you know, these bits, like we could probably rewrite all the 3 new songs and they'd sound nothing like it, but that's where it would come from.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Just because we can play so much better than we could then, and we know that we're a lot better than it. I think that's something that's quite hard to come around as an artist, because I know a lot of people that like bring a song out and then a few years later, even if I say it to them like, I love that song, they're like, oh, I hate that song.
Yeah,
a lot of people that do it, and I feel bad for like some of the people, you know, where that actual song is blown up and they hate it. Like,
yeah,
it's like the Crooks, isn't it? The Crooks and their what track is it they don't like?
Oh, because we played Champagne and Caviar on the radio show. Messaged them just saying, oh, we're playing it and whatever. And they were like, you're fucking joking, we hate that song. They were like, why are you playing that to people? They were like, fuck's sake, we thought no one knew about that song. And I was like, I like it, man. Like, but I think it's even more of a compliment, I suppose, because like, especially for me, like I love those demos, but I think it's almost like you love them, like even though they're not of the highest musical quality, you sense something from it. Like it's not tangible, but you're just like, I know it's not quite right, but it's a demo and it sounds sick. But that's like, there's something about it, and I suppose now you can turn that something into like songs that you're a bit more proud of.
Yeah, for me, what I'd probably describe it as, sorry, like if you don't get a reference, but me, it's like a Samaras kind of vibe, like useless, but like I did love him at the same time.
Yeah,
but that kind of thing, like,
mate. Samaras was that is a great fucking comparison. What a man!
It just reminded me, like, just like that. That's exactly how I felt about Samaras. Thinking about how I feel about them. Yeah. We'll always have like a little soft spot for him. I mean, we'll never play them to each other, and we'll never listen to them ever again.
Yeah.
but we'll always think like, oh, like that's where it kind of started.
Yeah, but mate, that's it. Like my favorite player growing up was Stephen Ireland, and I love him to bits. I wouldn't start him now against Liverpool. Do you know what I mean? It's that sort of thing, isn't it? Like, although you can love something and it can mean a lot to you without it being what you're about now. And I think it's quite a nice comparison. So I like that.
Yeah, it is.
It's exciting.
Very exciting stuff. Right, how long are we going?
35 minutes according to my phone.
Well, I think it's time for my fun little section.
Oh my god.
I need like a little buzzer sound or something.
I keep thinking we need one, like a little jingle that comes on then.
I need a soundboard that I can. Yeah, I think I might get a little soundboard made and just like press it, but like.
All-Star or something like in the booth.
Gotta do that. But...
Perfect.
Let's get ready to rumble. You know, when it keeps fucking mix.
Start putting like some filters on us. Or
yeah.
You're just adding so much editing to this video now. He's playing with us.
I'm not going to do it, but it's an idea. I don't have.
You can all sit at home and imagine that's what we've done. It'd be sick.
when you have somebody to do it for you, then
that's it.
Literally. I'm looking for a volunteer editor at the minute. If anyone wants to take the post,
yeah, we have no money, but we'd love you to do that on our videos. So.
But we do have a section at the minute we're doing that's new to this kind of season that we're doing, where we have our guest. We ask them a question that's scenario based, and you've got to pick a member of the band to help you or do the scenario that I say to you.
So I'll have to bell them.
So you don't actually have to bell them, but like,
why would they help me? All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Choose which one you would choose if you're in the situation.
Yeah, if you're in, I'm not like going to chuck the situation at you because they're all very out there. I'm not going to like just be like, right, so this is going to happen. You need to bring someone to help you. So the first one that I've got is you have been summoned for your national service. For the MI6, we are working back in. It's national service time. You've got to do something for your country. As a proud Englishman that you are, you're going to do something for them. And, you know, they'd ask you to help capture an extremely dangerous criminal. And they're causing massive national security problems. And you can only get one person to help you track and capture this person. Who are you choosing?
I feel like it'd definitely be Connor.
How come?
He's got a really fast car.
Fucking beautiful. There we go.
I think the other one's like, you know, Alfie's is pretty much falling apart. Like he only got it fixed like the other day, and it was still making funny noises last night. So, Tom. Just I just don't think he'd be into it. Just sounds like just not his vibe. But I feel like Connor would be like, you know, he plays COD with me, Connor, and I feel like he'd definitely be out fronting someone down.
Yeah, I like that. Right, I'm gonna get into the second one. You've got to really use your imagination for this one. It's a little bit edgy. Okay. So it's the middle of summer. You're doing a tour in Australia. There has been a massive festival. You've been caught in a wildfire though.
Oh.
It's only you and the band. You're caught in a wildfire. All that has been left is a news reporter's helicopter that they've abandoned because the fire's been too much. Yeah. Who are you getting to fly the helicopter?
I suppose I'm gonna have to go because I went for Siri last time because Siri and Alfie don't want to drive, and I feel like they'll just have. I know it's nothing like driving a car, but I feel like they'll just have a little bit more knowledge of like, you know, doing it. So I'd go for Connor again.
Yeah,
nice.
I'm gonna go for Connor again. I was about to say I'll go for Alfie, but then I remember the scratch on his car as well. Put it a few trees, could drive straight into the fire. Who knows? I'm gonna go for Connor again.
Connor again. Well, Connor sounds like a good person to have around.
I'll tell you what, you know, any kind of like military or last ditch operation, you know, I'm Connor Wilkinson, everybody.
if this is a Connor hat trick, that'll be a first for this series. That someone's got.
Ask me something that isn't like that, then, please.
Okay, so it's not, but it could be linked.
Oh so, no, it's a Connor hat trick.
Right. So
he's dead already, just like in my going.
So it's late at night. You've had a night down the boozer. Oh shit! Camera's turned off. That's not ideal.
Oh, right. Fantastic. You know when I asked you if I had battery before we started recording?
It's no, as in it just finished recording. You only get 20 minutes as time.
Yeah, all right.
So it's late at night. You're walking down home from the pub. You're on your way home. Have you ever seen the film Attack the Block?
Oh, when I was a lot younger.
Okay, so you know the animal that's in it.
Yeah.
It's a big bear alien thing for anyone that hasn't watched it. That has jumped off of a building and attacked you. It's bit in your leg, and it's scarpered because it heard some noise. You're bleeding out. You're bleeding out. You're in a very, very poor position. You've got to ring. You can only ring one person, and it has to be from the band. Who are you ringing? And if it's Connor because of his fast car, then I'm going to be disappointed.
You know what? I'm going to go for Alfie.
Alfie?
I've done it. Only because I was thinking who actually answers the phone a lot. Tom is never on his phone. He's either on his phone or he just ignores me. Or Connor, he's sometimes, like he's with his girlfriend, so he's actually doing like this is going a weird way.
Fuck's sake.
He spends time with her. But Alf seems to be quite connected. So I'd go for Alf because I think he would be the only one to answer, maybe.
Oh, I like that.
Because you need an answer, don't we, really?
You do really, mate. If you leave on the floor, you're going to need... If it goes straight to voicemail, it's going to be like, fucking prick.
Not ideal, anyway. Not
ideal. Well, there you go. There are 3 scenario questions I've got for you.
I'm glad that it wasn't a hat trick yet. Not yet.
Yeah. I couldn't have done it to myself. Even if I thought it was him, I couldn't have done it to myself.
Deep down, it was Connor again, wasn't it?
No, he wasn't.
No, I like that. That section works. Good fun, that is.
It is. I like that section. I think it's fun.
I like that section.
It's cool. It's cool. It gets us to kind of like know the band that ain't actually here. So as well, it kind of gives a little bit of insight to what they're all like and whether they're good at driving or not, or
what the car is. And cool. I've got one more thing I wanted to touch on before we sort of move towards closing it. And that is generally just Manchester and what the scene's like, because it's quite nice to be able to sort of branch out and speak to some more bands from different places. And I think we sort of see Manchester as one of the hubs of like up and coming bands. So what has Manchester been like to gig in, to sort of grow as a band in, and just sort of what experience has been like?
To grow up in like Manchester is like a thing on its own. Like a lot of people are jealous of you, not just like people like in other countries that like were jealous of like a lifestyle. Like everybody kind of knew Manchester, like as solid hub for music anyway. But I feel like it fell off a little bit, and now there's been like kind of a when I say fell off, like not fell off, like bands like Cortinas and stuff are coming through. We're coming through in that time, but at one point there was like band.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't literally nothing at all. There was people, but but just the thing, the sheer amount of venues did it for me at the start. It was like, when we was first doing our first gigs, like delved into Manchester, it was like just rising in capacity, and it was like there's like 5 round the corner from each other, that are like 75 to 100 cap, and there's like so many. It's just like it's just all a bit like surreal. Like there's so many. If I speak to people that are like outside of Manchester, they'll be like, "Oh yeah, we have like these 2 solid venues for small bands, and then we have like the big one for where the big bands play." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we just have like so many. Like there's so many different places that people can play and opportunities for people all over the city, and I think that's the beauty about it. I think it obviously there's a lot of influence from there. There's so many bands. I mean, bands aren't always nice to each other, but what we found out anyway. But it's obviously being in a band as well as is like being the mates is you want best for what's yourself, and there's always a bit of rivalry there. I'm sure they don't mean it, but there's always that. Sometimes you don't even mean it. You just like, this, that.
Yeah.
And we found out like that, that sometimes people can be very supportive of what you're doing. Like people like each other, but there's also kind kind of a lot of rivalry, which I suppose keeps it fresh, man.
Nathan, we're gonna have to push you on that because me and Elliot have give each other a look. What's
the crack with that? Yeah, hang about. We can't just touch on it nicely. There's a few bands that aren't quite as supportive.
What have they said? Let's fucking have
Go on, let's have them out.
No, we've just had like there's I don't even know if I'm really allowed, but
of course you are.
We got
why not?
We got a the Mank.
Yeah.
Got a feature off him, which was a really good feature.
Yeah.
And we was like buzzing, and there was this band like in the comments, like not a band, but a guy we know from, well, two guys that we know from a band near us that we've always knew. We shared a rehearsal room when we first started, and they knew how to play their instruments and stuff. Like they always were, but they always did. But then we just kind of left and we went separate ways, and it was always like a spat for Failsworth kind of thing. But
right.
And we sort of just did our own thing, and then one of the guys that was in it commented underneath saying something like, would you have a problem with this? And then tagged the guy out the band in, and he just put, yeah, they're absolutely shit then. And this is like on the bottom of the Mank as well. And I just felt like for yourself, like, why would you do that? And then another guy from the same band commenting again saying, don't worry, lads, you'll bring something good out soon.
Mate, it's just.
And I was a bit like,
what the fuck?
Like, what is the point?
Jealousy, though, innit? That's all it is.
Gotcha.
You never know. I won't out them, but they'll know who it is. So.
Yeah, exactly. I like that. Yeah, that's sick. What's the dream Manchester venue? That's one more question I've got.
Obviously, apart from maybe, I'm gonna set like maybe kind of realistic, maybe to me, kind of not realistic to you, but I'd say like the Ritz for me, a headline at the Ritz for Friday night. There's nothing better than it. I hate Albert Hall. Like I've hurt myself so many times at a gig in Albert Hall.
Really?
Like, I remember I've seen Sundara Karma there when I was like 16. Played at Dot to Dot Festival, and like the crowd just kind of keeps pushing forward, and
yeah.
I did that, and they either always overfill it or underfill it.
Yeah.
And I just like like normally you just like when you move back you just kind of lean on someone because someone's over there.
Yeah.
And I just went flying, just cracked me coccyx off the floor.
Oh.
I was stood there. I was like, oh. But then I had to get up because people were just going to trample on me. So I've been like shot in the leg or something. I'm like, help me. I'd had to sit at the side, but the Ritz, it's just always been like, I've seen a lot of bands there. Like what stands out to me though is that Liam Gallagher comeback gig.
Yeah, we were talking about this before.
I got tickets to that one, and it was
unreal. Something special, wasn't it?
Yeah, if it's anything bigger than the Ritz, it'd be Castlefield Bowl, and obviously then
Castlefield Bowl is sick
in the summer. Like, it's some venue, some venue.
Unreal. Yeah. Class. I like that. Cool. Well, that was my Manchester questions done. Elliot.
No, is there anywhere down south you want to play?
As in places or venues?
Either.
Oh, we'd play anywhere, man. We'd play anywhere. We have a headline planned in London when we can finally announce it.
Nice.
And that's at a 300 cap venue, and we've already played there supporting a band. So
big bands can work that out.
If you can work it out.
Now and find out where we're playing. I think it's 300 cap or maybe like 250 or something. About just small and Deaf Institute, I think.
Sick.
Nice.
And I'd play anyway. We had a gig that we had to cancel that was in Portsmouth.
Wow.
Offers Southampton stuff, but we supported a band called Proud Mary, if you've heard of them. Yeah. Like the O2 Academy Islington in London. That was nice. Like a sell out on the night, and that was crazy. Like that was a great gig, but yeah. And that's a great venue as well. A band I really love. I had like a little poster in our dressing room of just like one band, and it had to be like that band. And it beat on the wall, and I was like, they're like my probably my favorite band of like, this time. Like, like kind of like just older than me. They're all like 22 or something, but I just love them, man. And I get angry when people say they sound like Led Zeppelin because they do, but I don't see the problem.
There's no issues.
Who is the band? Who is it?
Oh, Greta Van Fleet.
Oh, Greta Van Fleet.
Yeah, and it was up there. So that holds like a kind of special place in my heart, just knowing that that's backstage there. So maybe one day there, but we play anywhere, man. We would.
Well, I was going to say, we'll see the Black Prince in Northampton, which is Yeah, there's got a few venues in Northampton we'll have to swing you through for. We'll get a couple of lineups made and we'll get you in.
Yeah, go for it, man. We'll come and do it when this is all over.
Yeah, love it. That sounds brilliant.
That's a verbal contract. We'll take that.
And it's filmed too, so unlucky.
Take it. It's fine.
Class.
Brilliant. Right. Well, we normally end the podcast on a short little section where we kind of give you an opportunity to shout out bands that you're listening to or artists that you're listening to at the minute that are in the up and coming scene that kind of need a little bit more light towards them.
I'm good mates with Ross and Kurt from the Outcharms. They're a great band.
They are.
Yeah, I like the Outcharms.
Very great band.
Yeah, they're a great band. Trying to think of. I suppose these are actually probably bigger than us. Like actually, they're way bigger than us, but they seem still quite unknown for what they're doing. Chappaquetta Wrestling.
Oh yeah, they're sick.
Yeah, they're so cool. They're so cool.
Yeah, I did their football song. I did as a track of the day, I think, not that long ago. But they're really good.
Yeah, they're class. A band called the Notion from near me. They're a great band as well. And good lads. They've just brought out a new single as well. So get on that one. I probably think about 10 million more people that like it. Should have.
No, that's sound, mate. That's a good feed shout out.
Absolutely. Joe, have you got one for us?
I have. I've been listening to one today actually, and I thought I'm going to speak about these, and that's the Shangralas. And they're an up and coming one. They're from Yorkshire. They're from like just outside Sheffield, and they do have a real Arctic Monkeys vibe, like early Arctic Monkeys vibe, but they've got their own thing about it. It's got a bit more of an edge. They've got a few like guitar solos going on. It's a little bit heavier, but still like indie rock sort of thing. They've got a song called 17, which is really, really fucking good. And then the new one, Perfect Education, I did it as a track of the day, like a few weeks ago. And you can tell, like, a bit like what you've been talking about, like they've gone from like, this is a fucking sick indie rock tune, but like they've really upped the levels on it. It's got a bit more production. The vocals a little bit better. I've put, it's a bit like Catfish, but more interesting.
Fair enough.
There goes your Van McCann interview, mate.
That's been long gone. They've took some shit on this podcast, to be fair.
Yeah, they do take a little bit of stick.
I mean, I love Catfish. I love them.
I do love them. I think they're brilliant, but I just think you keep releasing the same album, you're gonna go a little bit stale, aren't you?
You know what I mean? But yeah, I've put, heavy chorus, big guitars and that, but they've just got that little bit more of an edge about them because they're up and coming. And yeah, they're sick. Shangri-Las.
Cool. Well, I've got two.
I've got two. Greedy bastard, he did two the other week.
Yeah, well, got to do it. There's plenty of bands to fucking shout out at the minute. The first one I want to shout out is only a quick one because I believe he's only got one single. That Jace Campbell. I don't know whether you've seen it all popping around on Twitter or anything. He's a young lad that's releasing like almost old school 90s Britpop feel music. And he released a single called Lost. I want to say when this comes out, it would be about a month ago, but it was recently. And it debuted at like 48 in the iTunes chart, which is mental.
He's Jamie Webster like shared it all about and stuff, didn't he? Which is pretty sick because he was been tweeting him and then he like actually replied and was like, yeah, it's sick. And he was like, fucking hell, that's mad.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was so good. And that Lost tune, it is really good. Like surprising, like one of the ones, when you see people like release their first single and you go, oh, I'll give it a listen. You're like, oh, that's all right. But I was like, shit, this lad's got a fairly bright, he's coming from a good start. And my second one is a Northamptonshire band because up the fucking boys. Sure me. And it's Tragic. And I was meaning to talk about that in the last couple of weeks, but every time I've panicked at the last minute and forgot who I was going to talk about, so pick one randomly. So I'm going to shout them out because they've just released their new single, that Dishonored Gentleman, and they're a punk band from Northampton, which just fucking released belters. And this most recent one has kind of like shown that they're actually about it. But the last few I was a little bit like, this is a bit tame. I can see they need a little bit of work, but this most recent one fucking shows their levels.
Up the levels. Yeah, for sure.
That's a great band name, by the way.
Yeah, sick. So sick.
It's absolutely up there with the one on our label. There's a band called Wank.
Wank.
Yes.
That's a great band name as well.
That is a class band name.
That is a great band name.
Yeah. Well, for future reference, if anyone's naming bands, something along them lines will be
Something along the lines of Wank.
and Tragic.
Tragic Wank, that's a great band name.
Yeah.
Tragic Wank.
Tragic Wank is a great one.
We've all had a few of them.
That's my plan for after this. Oh, we had to end it like that, didn't we? Fuck's sake.
Well, any brand deals that we were going to have, we're not going to have anymore.
See you, Spotify.
Good job, boys. Oh, Christ. Right. Well, I do think that looks like time. So we're going to wrap it up now. Thank you all for listening. If you've got this far through the podcast, make sure you are liking and subscribing, getting all that shit done. If you're on Apple Podcasts, make sure you leave a review and subscribe to us on there. And Callow Youth, hopefully we'll have some new stuff coming out soon. Yeah?
Yeah, very soon.
Brilliant. That's what we like to hear. So we'll see you all on the other side. Peace.